Hey guys, Cam McClellan.
Al Lewison.
I want to talk today about negative gearing.
Welcome to today's Wealth WOD.
Wealth WOD on negative gearing. I get a huge amount of questions, and rightly so, about negative gearing, what the government's going to do, what happens if changes from Liberal to Labor, what the impacts are going to be as the investor, whether they'll keep it for current investors, whether they'll remove it. The reality is, I don't know, but I need to look at the worst case scenario every time. So as an investor, I need to understand what the worst case scenario is for me and how it's going to impact me. So the reason for that is really politicians are in for a short spate of time, and let's be honest, they don't make very good decisions most of the time. Knee-jerk, if the general public saying negative gearing should go, well, ridiculous politicians will make some stupid decisions like they did back in the 80s and then reversed it. So you can't trust what the politicians are going to do. So let's look at the rationale, first of all, of what negative gearing is designed to do, who it affects, and then what happens if it's removed. Yeah? Make sense? Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this before. American economists coming over and saying there's a huge difference between our rental prices and our property prices, and they therefore determine that we're in a property bubble and our prices are going to burst and come down. The reason for this is they don't understand our taxation laws, and the reason we have negative gearing, let's get down to the core of it, the reason we have negative gearing is to allow investors, to make it more affordable for investors to have investment properties, because we need investors to have investment properties to provide affordable rent to the general population who don't own their own home. So first of all is we're trying to provide affordable rental properties across Australia, unlike America, which they do affordable housing, what's the term for it?
Rent control.
Rent control buildings, which in effect are ghettos. So we didn't want that in Australia, so the government brought in negative gearing to help investors for the first few years until the rents went up to the point where the property was covering itself.
It's also to encourage people to invest and have something in their retirement.
Correct.
To alleviate the reliance on the age pension.
Yeah, correct. The government's realised superannuation is not going to cut it as well, so they need people to build something for themselves. So let's look at the major people it's going to impact.
What is negative gearing, Cam?
That's a good question. So negative gearing is a tax term, and look, if we think about it, you shouldn't go into properties based on the fact that they're negative geared properties. It's not a smart investment strategy to spend $1 to get the best part of 50 cents back. So the concept of negative gearing is any losses or costs associated with holding the property above what the income is can be used to reduce your taxable income. Yeah? Make sense?
That's it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if the rent's 800,
yeah,
and the repayments are 1,000,
yeah,
and I put in the 200, that's a tax deduction.
So you can use that $200 to reduce the tax payable on your income.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get that back on.
Thanks for clarifying that.
That's okay. Thanks, Al.
No problem.
Glad you understand that.
I've learned something today.
There you go. Okay, so we talked about what happens if negative gearing is removed. Well, the reality is investors like myself would stop buying investment properties for maybe a few months, at least, till my portfolio, the rents came up in my portfolio.
Yeah.
So
can I jump in there? We're asked this a lot. I find it hard to answer because I don't know what I would do. I'm sort of thinking through different things. Well, if I'm buying property that currently with interest rates low, don't cost me anything, I can only keep buying them. But the reality is I'd keep buying property but adjust my strategy. But it's really hard to answer because
your rents would straight away go up because less people will be coming to the market. So there's less properties out there for the general population, therefore there's a higher demand on rental properties. So I would start jacking my rents up dramatically to the point where it's only a small amount between the negative geared amount and what it is now. So my rents might go up $50, $100 a week until the point where, and they would rent out, believe me, because there'd be enough people in the market needing rental properties, that all of a sudden I'm in the same situation. So the people who have suffered are the people who are renting, because their rents have just gone up around Australia and made it difficult.
A good example of this is pick any industry, and let's use importers as one. So as the dollar's dropped, importers need to increase their prices to cover their cost of doing business. So out in the market, you will have seen the price of things have gone up recently. That is because people don't just make a loss, they make adjustment to what they're charging people to get their money back. So exactly like Cam's saying there, negative gearing goes, cost me more, I'll be pushing my rents up. Now, you might be thinking, well, how do you do that? Your tenants will leave. Again, as Cam said, everyone's doing it because everyone's costs have gone up.
Correct. But let's look at who. A lot of people look at investors and they go, those fat cat investors taking advantage of negative gearing. The reality is investors like myself and Al and Boz, who's in here with us as well, we don't rely on negative gearing. Our portfolios are positive. I think it's something like 87% of investors who take advantage of negative gearing earn under $90,000 of their household income.
So it's the everyday Australians, 2.1 or 2.3 million people own investment properties.
They're the ones that are going to hurt.
They're the ones that are going to hurt. 90% of them, as Cam said, earn below $90,000 and take advantage of negative gearing to help them provide affordable housing.
So the rich people who are, obviously have multiple portfolios, large portfolios, we don't even take advantage of negative gearing anyway. So it doesn't affect us. What it does affect is those people having one or two properties, just trying to build that portfolio. So the everyday Australian thinking they're going to buy an investment property, they're the ones that get belted around. Everyday Australians trying to afford a rental property, they're the ones that get belted around. So let's look at what happens to the economy, which is probably this is the conundrum I think the government face. Because the media are hyped up on things, the government sway and they'll make rash decisions. What I think the government are smart enough to understand is if they remove negative gearing, the building industry will come to a grinding halt compared to what it's been obviously driving along so far. And the building industry is the #1 driver of our economy. So Al and I, myself, we study building approvals, so new building home approvals. What that tells us is how the economy will perform down the track. So new home approvals, if it's approved now, the home might be getting built, but in, let's say 6 months, 9 months, we know that the white good industry is going to start moving. So obviously all those associated industries that get, obviously kick on from the building industry, all those industries will get smashed hard as well. So I don't think any government really wants to piss off the majority of Australians who are trying to invest, piss off the renters, and also grind the economy to a halt.
Really great point. So what makes up a property market generally is 30 to 40% investors, 25 to 40% first home buyers, depending on the stage of the market,
Yep.
and the rest are upgraders or downsizers.
Yep.
So what we're really saying is negative gearing disappears, 30% of people investing in the market, driving the property market, are gone.
Yeah, they'll
That's a big hole. It's a very big hole. 30% of the properties won't happen.
and seeing we've got a dramatic undersupply of affordable housing currently, and the government set up the Housing Supply Council to counter the future issue we're going to have with not having enough homes for the amount of population growth forecast. I think it's very unlikely that it will happen. If it does happen, it probably won't affect people who have current investment properties, and if it does happen, they'll probably do a backflip on it once all these things pan out.
Yeah, the government's looking at lots and lots of areas because they're recognising that they need to collect more taxes. They're looking at GST, they're looking at taxing foreign buyers. Actually, they are doing it. And guess what? It's not impacting the foreign buyers because
Good call.
in the last 12 months, the Aussie dollar's dropped from par with the US down to about 76, 77 cents. That means that properties are 25% cheaper for people offshore buying them.
So you're saying, so the government are promoting at the moment, they've brought in this overseas buyers tax of, I don't think it's $3,000 or $8,000, minuscule amount.
Yep.
In the big scheme of things, when you're saying people who used to invest overseas, used to be able to afford $1 million property, can now, because the dollar's better, afford $1.3 million thereabouts.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
They don't care about an $8,000 government tax.
Yes.
Doesn't affect them. In fact, they're jumping for joy going, we'll pour money into Australia.
Yep.
It's not slowing things down whatsoever.
Yep.
Happy?
Happy.
Cool.
Thanks.